We actually found out we were the only supplier that actually provided that or got the opportunity to do it. And that enabled us to map back our solution to the challenges that we helped them create the criteria for.
You are listening to The Deal Breakdown with Derek Chevy, where we spotlight the best deals out there in B2B sales, from the open all the way to the close. Welcome to the B2B Deal Breakdown podcast, where we give you the play-by-play on some of the best deals out there. I'm Derek Chevy, and I'm excited to be meeting with Brandon Hulick. He's an enterprise account executive in the tech industry. Welcome, Brandon.
Thanks, Derek. I'm glad to be on.
I'm really excited that we got you on the podcast with all the success that you've had over the years. So could you tell the listeners a little bit about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in sales for just under 7 years. I started off as a individual contributor in the print industry. I was fortunate, able to move up into a supervisor and managerial position. And ultimately, my last year in the print industry, I had switched over to another company in a global solution, so basically enterprise sales position. And then I wanted to make a transition into tech sales. So I ended up going into a tech sales role mid-market for roughly 2 years. And then I ultimately got an opportunity to be at the company I'm at now, Browser Stack, in which I am an enterprise account executive.
Nice. So how many years in total would you say you've been in B2B?
So it's just under 7 right now.
Okay, great. So let's talk about Browser Stack for a second. So what is Browser Stack? What is it? What do you sell with that? Like, what challenges does it solve? What industries do you serve?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're selling a testing platform. So companies, when they're testing their applications or they're testing their mobile services, there's a lot of different browsers, operating systems on desktop devices or mobile devices. There's also a ton of different mobile devices in itself. So depending on what kind of combinations you're doing within that, your services may not render in the way that you expected. That's both visually and functionally. So we're solving that problem by providing a very, very robust cloud service-based test infrastructure that allows companies to test all of these different variations and configurations, both manually and automated, and also particularly helpful right now from the comfort of their house, given the current virus situation.
Yeah, I can really see the value of that. Just as someone who's been creating my own website as it is along the way, people don't realize how, especially right now that we're all going virtual, it seems like, and all going digital. If you didn't have a digital business in some way before, because you were face to face or people were walking into your office, people are going that digital route, and they're probably learning that it's not easy to design websites, for these different things that people are using, whether it's Android phones, you're using Google or using Safari or different things like that. So yeah, it is a little bit of a pain to set things up, and I could see the value. So for this particular deal that you're talking about today, why'd you choose it?
Yeah, so the deal I chose was from a previous role. I was at a CRM company, and the reason I chose is because I feel like it was one that really enhanced my learning curve. Up to that point, I had certainly had plenty of success in sales, but that being said, the complexity of the deals that I worked on never reached this level. So I felt like it was very impactful for me in understanding the value of taking on that consultative approach and being able to understand your client's business in a way that they appreciate. So I decided to talk about this deal because it was a pivot point for me from that aspect.
Great. I'm excited to hear about it. And CRM is I think people can understand that, with all the different CRM companies out there. So yeah, selling that, there's tons of value and opportunity and challenges that you're solving there. So let's talk about your first, how did you find this deal when you were at that company?
Yeah. So fortunately, I actually got an inbound query. This was from somebody who was not the decision maker.
Yeah.
Basically just asking, if we're able to integrate with certain marketing automation platforms.
Sure.
Obviously you want to dig a bit deeper. So answer the question, but also wanted to understand, where is this coming from? Do you guys have some kind of project? Things like that. It actually took some nurturing, as the person didn't respond right away, had to continue to message them and stay top of mind. And ultimately where it led to is, after following up a number of times, she gave me a pretty big task with dangling the carrot of saying, "Hey, if you do this for me, I'll introduce you to the decision makers," essentially.
Oh,
So, yeah. So what that task was a feature, cost, and marketing automation comparison between our product and two competitors of ours, which obviously there's not really a reason that I would know the competitor pricing. I would know all of their features
yeah.
and exactly what they can integrate with. So, like I saw this as an opportunity to position us ahead of the competition by obviously just putting everything in our favor.
Sure.
Um, so I took the time, pretend to be a customer to these competitors of ours, and figured this stuff out. Put together a very comprehensive PowerPoint and sent it over, which ultimately I got the introduction.
So, okay, so let's just pause here because it sounds like there's a lot that happened. First of all, your interactions with this person. What do you know? What title they were in the organization?
Yeah, so they were a marketing manager.
Okay, marketing manager. Okay, so marketing manager, um, inbound query, and you said you were chatting with him, messaging him back. Was your interaction with this marketing manager just in that chat or in emailing? For that's how it was. So email, and then how long would you say that you were continuing this chat before you finally got this assignment?
Just probably 3 or 4 weeks, I'd say.
Oh, okay. So someone just says something, just gives you some sort of idea that they're interested or they're curious, and you kept on it. You kept asking questions, and I guess how did you keep that conversation going over 3 to 4 weeks? Like, what do you remember what you would be saying, or how you kept them kept them
Yeah,
there?
I'd say it was a little bit of a one-sided conversation for the first couple of weeks, where mostly me messaging her, talking about why our CRM was the
Yeah,
best when it came to integrations, that we
sure.
had a native marketing automation tool, and just basically pushing the value of here's why you need to take a closer look at this.
Yeah,
Uh, it's important when you're thinking about a marketing automation tool that you are considering what CRM will be paired with that.
good.
Stuff along those lines.
And you were just putting them out there and then getting no response, and put it out there, no response, put it out there, no response. And you just kept at it thinking, oh, well, let me just tweak it a little bit differently this time then, huh?
Yeah, I'd say persistence. My ability to be extremely persistent was
Yeah.
probably one of the best qualities for my sales career.
Nice. That's good. Yeah. So then this PowerPoint, this comparison you put together, how long did that um well, I guess a better question here is, did you know the size opportunity this account could be for you?
You know, I didn't know their budget. I didn't know how big of a project it was going to be for them, but I knew based on the model of their business that we were very well suited to handle multiple branches of their business.
Yeah.
So I felt that the opportunity could be big and it was worth putting some time into.
Yeah. Well, just to give everyone a teaser, what did the deal ended up becoming for you from a size standpoint? Like how large was it in the end?
So, it was about a month and a half worth of quota. So half a quarter.
Nice.
Usually it would take us about 3 to 4 deals to reach our quota in any given month. So
Yeah.
it was a good opportunity to get ahead.
Great. Yeah. I mean, one deal puts you in a month and a half ahead, and considering your 4 deals gets you to budget. So yeah, great deal. Okay. So then, how long did it take you to put together all this due diligence you did before you send over?
It probably took a total of what would be like one full day of work. So 8 hours.
Dang. Dang. Okay. So you sent it over to them, and did they respond right away? Did the market manager say, you got it? Here's the decision maker.
It was relatively quick. I'd say it responded within 3 days. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that response, was it they agreed to a meeting, or how was that?
So it was a direct, warm introduction, basically kind of positioning it like, hey, we're planning on doing this project. I've been working with Brandon. This is what he presented to me. You guys should schedule a meeting, and it did lead to a meeting very quickly.
Oh, good. Okay, so then so that email right itself set the meeting for you. You didn't even need to say anything. You were just like, okay, how about this time?
Yeah, pretty much.
Perfect. So then, so talk about that first meeting. What was that? What was that first actual appointment like?
Yeah. So, kind of going along with the same theme where they started off as, comparison of multiple vendors. They wanted to handle this as a formal RFP, and our product is one of the more expensive in the industry, if not the most expensive, usually not favorable towards an RFP. The other thing being, it's a CRM. So to handle that with a cookie cutter method, I don't think many people would choose that route, given that it's really a business transformation product. This is going to, impact
Yeah.
multiple departments, a good percentage of your employees. It could be 75% or more of your employees.
Yeah.
So we were able to reason with the decision maker that, really we think a consultative approach is going to be most beneficial to you. She ultimately agreed, which this was definitely another pivot point in the sales cycle, in which we actually were able to have or schedule 2 full days of departmental interviews with 7 different departments to understand their unique needs.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot here too. So, so in that first meeting that you had, did you uncover, were there any big challenges that they were trying to solve that you were looking to uncover that said, oh, this is right. This is a perfect fit for us?
I wouldn't say in the first meeting with the decision maker, but we did during the departmental meetings.
Okay. So your next step, somewhere along the lines, you thought, hey, what would make the most sense is for us to interview your people and to make sure this is in alignment with how everyone works, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, so talk about the next steps. How long did that take? What did you do for those, that assessment process?
So I believe we scheduled around 2 weeks out. We had to schedule with both the departments and our schedules. We flew out there. It was in person. We ended up spending between 30 minutes and an hour with every department. And what we really uncovered that were some big pain points were that they're a full services financial services organization. So, obviously financial service is pretty vast, but they had 7 different departments, some of those being PNC insurance, some of it being employee benefits, commercial insurance, wealth management, and so on. So what we figured out was amongst 2 of those divisions, it comprised about 65% of their revenue. So, they're pretty top heavy in 2 departments. Within those 2 departments, the majority of their producers would be retiring in about 2 to 5 years. And most all of this relationship information was just kind of in their head. They didn't have a system of record of any type. Also that they actually have 3 systems that they are kind of using, not really, and the information is fragmented, but they're paying for it currently. So there was 3 systems we were able to consolidate and replace. And the last one being kind of the nature of what you just heard, but that employee adoption of systems is notoriously difficult.
Sure. Interesting. Okay. So that was, you said 2 days with them? Or was that was 2 days. Okay. So then when that was done, what was the next step? Was it another meeting to share your results, or was it a proposal?
No, that was about right. So after that, we had an executive strategy session. We gave them our findings, compared it to what they believed was going on. It was actually pretty in alignment. Started to create basically a soft criteria at that point.
Yeah. Great. So then at that meeting, you eventually closed for the proposal. Talk about how that whole strategy went that way, because you were doing the consultative approach.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lengthy process. There's a lot that goes into purchasing a CRM, but after the initial consultation or strategy session with the executives, we had an alignment meeting on the criteria to confirm, hey, after we've thought about it, are we all 100% on the same page that this is the criteria and you want to solve these 4 points? From there, we actually had a pre-proposal meeting with one of the decision makers to verify, here's what we think would be best for your organization. Give us your feedback. What do the other 2 decision makers want to see? She gave us guidance. We tailored it to that, which led to the actual proposal to the decision makers, in which we did both about a 15 to 20 page proposal with a demo. So we just demonstrate how we'll achieve this. That was taken to the final decision maker. Upon understanding we were the selected vendor, we then had to introduce an implementation partner and ensure that there was budget for that and that they could meet the timeline for implementation that they wanted. Followed that up with pricing, got consensus on that, and then ultimately went through the legal process and signed contracts.
Okay. Okay. So interesting. There are a lot of steps there that, like, just like you mentioned, it is an interesting deal. So you first showed your preliminary pricing or your ideas to two decision makers, but there was four, you said, right?
Yep.
So were the
Or
first
three.
were the two, oh yeah, so were the first two more influencers, or were they actually like, just you were showing these people that could say, we don't like it, we're out, doesn't make sense?
One of them was more like a champion, and that's the one that helped us tailor the pre-proposal.
Yeah.
The second one was more of a just normal decision maker, and the third we never actually got to meet in person.
Yeah.
They were more a little more standoffish, but they had the biggest decision out of all three of them.
Yeah. Okay. So was it part of your process back then to have a pre-proposal like that? That's just part of what you did?
No, that was unique to this one. Kind of felt it out based on, do we think that our champion would be willing to do that?
Okay. Well, yeah, it sounds like it was a good decision.
Mm.
So then when you finally presented the proposal to in the last step there, and it was just, from proposal to they're in and they're doing it. And how long was that piece, if you remember? Like, how much time?
So upon becoming the approved, so we were the approved vendor probably
Yeah.
2 weeks after the proposal.
Okay, so they told you they were going to go with you.
Right.
Did they sign at that point?
No, it took about 3 months after that for them to actually sign, given the implementation stuff and legal and all that.
Okay. So at that point, when they had given you the verbal, after the deal, are you still are you and the company still trying to find a way to create urgency to get that deal signed now?
This one was a little unique, in which they told us right up front that this is something that they're doing the project this year. It's part of the budget for next year. So we knew all along that this isn't something that they're going to rush right through. We
Yeah.
did ultimately ask for an early signature with a later service start date, which we did get. But I can't say that we had to push it too hard, because we did have a lot of engagement and we knew the timeline.
Yeah, and you also knew all the stakeholders, right? You knew all the decision makers, knew how it was going to help because of
Yeah.
all that consultative approach you did. So that's great. So you said that they awarded you guys the business. So was there some point that you knew competition was also involved?
Yeah. So they were upfront the whole time that there were just going to be two competitors.
Yeah.
One of them was actually providing some of the services that they had that at that time. So yeah, we were aware.
Okay. So how did you build value? How did you separate yourself from the competition throughout then?
Yeah, I think there was a couple things. One of them being the departmental meetings. We actually found out we were the only supplier that actually provided that or got the opportunity to do it. And that enabled us to map back our solution to the challenges that we helped them create the criteria for. So, we were able to create this much more consultative type relationship that
Yeah.
allowed us to speak more to their specific interests.
That's great. That's great. I mean, that shows the power of the consultative approach, and sometimes going through that, salespeople might not have the patience to take the time to go through all those steps.
Mm.
What kept you patient?
For this particular type of sale, it was almost like it was complex enough that while it did take some patience, it also took a lot of due diligence just to put it all together, whether it's, being able to make this a articulate message, wrapping everything together between 7 different departments, mapping those challenges to the way that our solution performs and how that can be, essentially achieve their criteria. So yeah, there was patience, but there was also just a lot of work that went into it. So I would say there was a bit of a balance there.
Yeah. It's great. Well, sounds like a great deal, having it be a month and a half of your budget. So looking back, what would you say 3 things were that won the deal for you?
I think product definitely made a difference. We always positioned our product as one that we're continuously innovating, and given that adoption was a challenge for them, they didn't want to have to switch this out after 2 or 3 years. So they wanted something that could be with them for 10, 15, 20, 50 years, if that makes sense. So we were able to show or basically build confidence in, hey, we've established ourselves as an industry leader. This is how we do it. And these are the things that go behind that. They create the confidence around that. I think flexibility of the platform, in regard to, since they had all these different departments, we were able to demonstrate how we can make our solution unique to each individual department while wrapping it all back into a centralized view for executives to make data-driven decisions and things like that. And then the value justification, which was, identifying that they have these 3 systems they're not really using, but it opened up more budget so that we could essentially make ours more palatable.
It's great. It's great. Fantastic. Same question for things that you would not do differently. I mean, things that you would do differently, mistakes that you made.
Yeah. I mean, I think the number one mistake I would go to is I think I would have set a much lower expectation for our flexibility in legal. I think they were definitely very aggressive from that standpoint, but I think I could have set a lower expectation up front. I would say I'd introduce
was that with, in terms of like terms, like, oh yeah, if you guys wanted to stop at any time, we could, you just let us know, that sort of thing.
I mean, not that specific example, but yeah, it was almost, they definitely felt like they were running the show, and it's like, we're happy to be flexible, but we do have to have a stopping point,
Yeah.
I mean, that probably dragged the sales cycle on 2 to 3 weeks more than I think it had to.
Yeah. Okay. So what else besides the flexibility?
I would have introduced the implementation partner sooner. I think that's something that you always want to get them involved as early as you can. And I could have created a little more justification around why they need to start that conversation before they choose the solution. Because what if it was budget prohibitive? So fortunately it wasn't, but that's one thing I would have done different. Other than that, the last thing I think I would probably do is just create more of a development plan going forward. I mean, the implementation partner certainly does the brunt of that, but being able to position to hold their hand through that a little bit more, I think allows us to create visibility in how we can continue to support them as a partner.
Yeah, so just like a long-term plan, like the training plan, getting everyone onboarded, things like that. That's what you mean?
Exactly.
Okay. Is that something that you started implementing later on?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty common practice after that.
Okay. Well, good. Hopefully it helped you speed things up. So great deal here. I mean, any final words of wisdom to share with the audience to help bring them more value in their deals that they're doing?
Yeah. I think sales is one of those careers where it takes a lot of persistence. You got to constantly learn, you got to be coachable, and there's always a layer deeper. So I would never underestimate your competition. But it's a really great career path, and I'd recommend it to anybody. So have a lot of fun with it.
Good. That's awesome. So if people want to reach out to you further, Brandon, what's the best way?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the best way to contact me.
Perfect. Yeah, LinkedIn's a great platform. I'm big on it too. Well, thanks so much for being on this and sharing your deal, Brandon. It's going to help a lot of salespeople out there.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. I appreciate it, Derek.
Well, that's it, everyone, for today's session. Thank you so much, Brandon, for helping all of our fellow B2B salespeople out there improve their sales skills. For our listeners, if you'd like today's highlights, be sure to check out our summary on salesin21days.com. And have a great sales week, and we'll see y'all next time. Hey, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, then you have to come check out our free Top Performer Academy course. Inside it, I'll give you 12 sales tips that only the best salespeople do on a daily basis. Tips ranging from cold calling to running effective appointments, handling objections, and creating urgency in your deals. You can get it 100% free at www.modernSalesTraining.com/free. That's modernSalesTraining.com/free. These 12 tips could be the difference between you having a good month or an incredible one. I hope to see you there.